Are you looking to build some serious muscle? Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss this. Alright guys, so when it comes to building muscle, there are a few different things we have to look at. The first thing, of course, is going to be your calories. So how are we going to know how many calories we should be eating? You see, when most people decide they want to start putting muscle on, or bulking if you will, they just start eating a bunch of calories. They start eating burgers and fries and pizza. And hey, it's fair game, right? Because I'm bulking, so I can just eat all this stuff and put on all this weight, which is all mostly fat, right? Because I'm bulking. But that is not the way to do it. The only thing you're gonna do if you approach it that way is you're gonna get fat, you're gonna put a lot of body fat on, you're gonna put very little muscle on, and when you go to lean down or start a cutting diet, you're just gonna have to strip all that fat off, and maybe you'll have an additional 1 or 2 pounds of muscle that you gained, which isn't even going to be visual at that point, right? So that is not the way to do it. So the way you figure out your bulking calories is simply add 20% to your maintenance. So figure out your maintenance calories. If you want, you could do that in the link below. Take my body type quiz, and on the bottom I've included a calculator. So you will enter your basic information, and depending on if you're cutting or bulking, if you want to bulk aggressively or more conservatively, you can enter all that information, and it will give you what your daily caloric intake should be. But typically, you want to take your body weight and multiply it by 16 to 18, and that will give you an estimated bulking calories. But again, if you want a more accurate answer, take my body type quiz, and there's a calculator at the bottom. So, 1, find out your calories. And you really want to track your calories. Again, it's the same thing as cutting, really. You want to be monitoring what you're taking in. You want to know what you're taking in. So as you go along, you can make the proper adjustments. So let's say, maybe you're eating 20% above your maintenance calories for a week or two, and your body weight isn't doing anything. Maybe you have a really fast metabolism, and maybe you have to even go higher than 20%. Maybe you have to go 25%, 30%. You won't know that unless you're tracking your calories. And that's why it's so important to make sure you're keeping track of how much you're eating. You don't want to go into this blindly, because that's how a lot of people get in trouble, and they don't really know how many calories they're taking in. And again, they start getting fat, they start putting body weight on. Or if they're not tracking, maybe they're under eating, maybe they're not hitting that mark, maybe they're not hitting the daily calories they should be consuming in order to allow their body to grow and recover and build that muscle. So again, it's very important to make sure you know what you're consuming, to be tracking your calories. When it comes to protein, you want to be taking in 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So for me, I'm 200 pounds, for example. I'm going to be taking in 200 grams of protein. Whatever your current weight is, multiply that by 1. It's very simple. That's going to give you your daily protein intake. So as far as nutrition goes, another thing you can implement is intermittent fasting. Now, when most people think of intermittent fasting, they think of cutting fat and dieting, which it is a very useful tool to do that. But most people don't realize you could actually use intermittent fasting for bulking as well. See, when you're intermittent fasting, you're creating a demand. You're going long periods of time without eating. So when you do give your body those calories, your body's going to be very efficient at knowing where to send those calories to, right? Typically, when you're eating 5-6 times a day, like most typical bodybuilder diets, your body is constantly used to digesting food, breaking down food, storing some as fat, storing some as muscle glycogen, because your body knows it's going to get food every few hours. So there's really no need to, be that efficient with the calories. But if your body knows that it's only going to be eating or getting food like once or twice a day, or maybe 3 times a day, it's going to be like crap. Like, I really have to make sure that I'm using these calories very efficiently in order to benefit the body, right? Because it doesn't know when it's getting its next meal. So your body's going to be very efficient at taking these calories and sending them where they need to go. So because you'll be weight training, your body's going to take a lot of these calories and replenish muscle glycogen, right? Fuel in your muscles. And essentially, this is going to help you grow and repair and recover. So again, you can do intermittent fasting. Just make sure you're hitting your calories. And you could do, there are a few different ways to do it. You could do a 8-hour eating window. So, let's say, just for example, from 12 noon to 8 p.m., that could be your window where you get in all your calories. Or if there's another time frame that works better for you, then you could do that as well. But intermittent fasting is actually very beneficial. And also, when you intermittent fast, you're increasing growth hormone and your testosterone levels. You could increase growth hormone up to 2,000%, which is pretty remarkable, as well as testosterone. So a lot of people don't understand how anabolic and how effective and powerful intermittent fasting is when it comes to putting on muscle. And when you combine that, like when you're cutting or trying to burn fat, like the results are remarkable. So again, intermittent fasting is going to help you keep body fat low while putting quality muscle on and telling your body where to send a lot of those calories. Wow, weight training is going to be key when it comes to putting muscle on. So what kind of weight training split should you do? Should you do full body? Should you do, the bro split where you're training, chest one day, back one day, arms one day? It really is all preference. I tend to like to change it up quite a bit. So for instance, like on Mondays, I'll do chest and shoulders. On Tuesdays, I'll do, arms and back. On Wednesdays, I'll do some legs, but I won't go super high volume. I'll hit those muscle groups very hard, very efficiently, get in and get out. So the fastest way you build muscle is simply by getting stronger each week. This is known as progressive overload, which simply means every week you're going into the gym performing movements, usually compound movements like bench press, squat, shoulder press, leg press, these big compound movements, and you want to try getting stronger each and every week. And muscle is a byproduct of strength. So as you get stronger, your body is going to grow more muscle. That's just how it works. However, you do want to change it up. So when I'm trying to put muscle on, I like to change up my routines. I like to change up my training. I like to change up the rep ranges. So you don't always have to go super low on your reps. They always say to get stronger, you want to train in a 4 to 8 rep range, which is fine. But you don't want to do that every single time. You want to change it up. You want to implement supersets. Superset is basically just going from one movement to another with very little rest in between. So for instance, if I'm training, let's say, chest and biceps, right? I'll do a bench press. As soon as I'm done with that set of bench press, I'll go grab a barbell and I'll do barbell curls. That's a superset. So you could do things like that, supersets, drop sets. A drop set is simply where you finish one set of an exercise, drop the weight, and continue to do more. That's a drop set. All these different training techniques is going to keep your body guessing. And when your body is guessing, it is forced to come up with new ways to get stronger and build more muscle. So you don't want to stick with one style of training. You don't just want to stick with progressive overload. You don't just want to stick with supersets. You don't just want to stick with, just strictly doing compound movements. Incorporate all of it. Incorporate isolation movements. Incorporate compound movements. Incorporate supersets. Incorporate full body days here and there. You don't have to stick with one training program. Make sure your nutrition is dialed in. Make sure you're tracking everything. Again, if you want, you could include intermittent fasting to keep your body fat low and to get the benefits of higher growth hormone levels and higher testosterone levels. And make sure your training is on point. Try to be in the gym 4 days a week, hitting the weights. You don't have to be in there for 2 hours a day. 45 minutes to an hour is plenty. Get in, get it done, and get out. And on your rest days, just to, again, to keep body fat low, try to do something active. You know, walk on the treadmill for 20 minutes or go for a walk, or, you know, you could do some HIIT training as well. Just stay active. So again, guys, those are my tips to put muscle on as quickly as possible while maintaining a lean and shredded body. So give it a try. Let me know what you think. Thank you guys. Talk soon.